Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I am super excited to share Cirque's California Dreamin collection. If you're a fan of Cirque, you know that this is not exactly a new collection. They actually first launched this set back in the summer of 2021 and I regret never picking any of them up because they were just so beautiful. So I am super excited that they brought these back for this summer season. These are limited edition though, but I will have some more information in the description box and save more of my thoughts for the end. For now, let's just get into the swatches. So the first polish is High Society, and this technically is also a re-release that isn't a part of the California Dreamin collection, but honestly it fits right in, so it totally makes sense that they brought this one back as well. This one is described as a neon green with a copper shimmer. As you saw, it had a really great formula that was very even coverage on the first coat. It just is a bit sheer, so I did find that I had a decent amount of nail line even with 2 coats, so I personally would recommend wearing this in 3 coats if you want that more full coverage look. You'll still see a little hint of nail line because this is such a light shade. Alternatively, you can also wear this over a lime green cream if you don't want to do as many coats, but you do want full coverage. I absolutely love this shade. It is just so bright and eye-searing and gorgeous. If you didn't know, this was originally one of their 420 polishes, so I'm really excited they brought this back. Now for the proper California Dreamin collection, the first shade we have is Kokomo, and this one is described as a neon turquoise with a pink shimmer. I will say straight off the bat, this one is picking up a lot lighter and brighter than it actually is. Even though it's described as a neon, I feel like it personally doesn't have that same neon punch that the other shades have. It's still a super gorgeous color. Like, I love turquoise shades for summer, but this one is just deeper and maybe a little bit more green leaning. It'll be more color accurate when I do the Skittle portion at the end of my swatches. But color aside, the formula was fantastic on this one. Very full coverage, just a little bit sheer after 2 coats, but not as much as High Society, so I didn't do a third. Up next we have Catalina, and this one is described as a faded neon blue with pink shimmer. So I really like that they describe this one as a faded kind of neon because it just doesn't have that eye-searing intensity like some of the other shades. This one does match a little bit more to Kokomo, for example, but it is still so gorgeous. I love the base color of this one. It's just a beautiful shade of blue where it's almost like a dark cornflower maybe, and the way the shimmer glows against it is just so stunning. The formula on this was also gorgeous, where it was very even coverage, very full coverage as well, where I feel like I only needed 2 coats for this one. I can barely see any visible nail line. The next shade we have is Bitchin, and this is a neon purple with a turquoise green shimmer, which I do not see the green. This is really picking up as like an icy aqua blue for me, but honestly, I absolutely love it. I am just such a fan of this icy blue shimmer, and I think it stands out so beautifully against this base color, which is definitely really bright, but I don't think I would consider this one a neon either. At least to me, it doesn't have that same eye-searing, punchy neon quality that High Society and then the next 2 polishes have, but I will say that this one feels a bit brighter than the previous 2 polishes. This one also had a fantastic formula that was opaque in 2 coats. Up next we have Flamingo, and this one is described as a neon pink with a blue shimmer, and this is giving me neon. No surprise, I am absolutely obsessed with this shade. It is my top favorite from this collection. The icy blue shimmer in this one is super gorgeous and stands out so nicely. It just has this like glow from within. Though I will say the shimmer doesn't look super blue the way that it did in the last shade, for example. This almost has like a white or silver kind of leaning quality to it, but I think it's still absolutely gorgeous. This one had another fantastic formula that was very full and even coverage. I personally stopped at 2 coats for this, but I could see some people wanting a third. And rounding out the collection, we have Day Tripper, which is described as a neon coral with a gold shimmer. I definitely would consider this a neon, similar to Flamingo and High Society. It is just so stunning. It takes your breath away. I love these types of shades, especially with the gold shimmer, because it just really captures the heat of summer and puts it directly on your nails. Oh my god, I am such a fan. If you missed my last video, it was all about my favorite tropical vacation inspired shades, and this definitely fits right in. Like the other polishes in the collection, this one had a fantastic formula that was very full and even coverage. It still is a little bit sheer on 2 coats, but I personally didn't want to do a third. So here is the collection worn as a Skittle, except for Pink Flamingo. That's going to be on my other hand, but I'm wearing 2 coats of each, and again, you can definitely still see some nail line, even though this hand is much shorter than my other hand, but personally, I think they are pretty passable, maybe with the exception of High Society. I definitely would do 3 coats if I'm wearing that shade, or I would just go in with a blurring base coat. But yeah, you can see just how vibrant and neon High Society is, and Day Tripper on my thumb, compared to the other shades that are a little bit softer, where I wouldn't call them neons. And then here on my left hand, I'm wearing Flamingo in 2 coats. And again, you can definitely see some nail line. It is not super sheer like some other sheer polishes, but if you do want a more full coverage look, I would recommend doing 3 coats or wearing a blurring base, but I love this one. So for comparisons, I had to quickly show the full collection with Holo Taco's Rock Candy collection that just came out, because they pretty much had very similar colors. It was just missing a teal, so I decided to include Never Tied Down. Overall, these have very different finishes from each other, and some of the colors, or the majority of the colors, are very different as well, where Cirque's are just a lot more neon, but I will be showing close-ups of the blue and purple because those are the most similar. But starting with High Society, I wanted to first show it next to Tart from the Twisted Tea Party collection. That one is a lot lighter and more yellow leaning, and also a lot more sheer. It has a pink shimmer instead of gold and a ton more holographic glitter, so overall not dupes. I think High Society is a little bit closer in color to something like Cirque's Cream, which was from their Vice collection, but that one is still a little too light, and so I did want to also show this next to Kushy, which was another Vice shade. I feel like they look pretty similar here in the bottle, despite the fact that Kushy is a cream. It doesn't have any shimmer or hollow glitter, but on the nail, it's still a little too dark and obviously a lot more opaque since it's a cream formula and not that squishy, crelly sort of formula that Cirque's shimmers have. So even if you did layer a gold shimmer topper over either of these greens, I don't think you're really going to be able to recreate High Society. I did also want to show this one next to Mooncat's Apple of My Eye, which is a retired polish. It does have a pink shimmer instead of gold, and even though the bases might look similar, Mooncat's is just a little bit more muted, where it doesn't have that neon quality. So I thought maybe it would be closer to Mooncat's My Bugs from the Nightmare Before Christmas collab, since that is another green base polish with a golden shimmer. But as you can see, these are super different, not only visually in terms of their finish, with the shimmer particle being a little bit more gritty looking on Mooncat's side, but also the color is just not nearly as neon as Cirque's. Then for Kokomo, I really didn't have anything quite like it in my collection. I thought maybe the closest shade was Cirque's Introverde from the MXM Tune collection last year, but as you can see, it's definitely several shades lighter, but with a stronger shimmer particle. Like I mentioned before, Kokomo's not really picking up super color accurate. It's actually a lot darker than it looks here. And here's another quick bottle comparison next to Cirque's Cerrillos, which is like a tealy turquoise kind of linear hollow, but that one is just a little too light and too blue leaning. Finally, for Catalina, we obviously are looking at it next to Holo Taco's Blue Rizzler from their Rock Candy collection. I was so surprised to see how similar these polishes are. I would say they nearly have the same exact base and shimmer color combination. The main difference is their holographic sparkle, where Holo Taco's is that crushed hollow, so it almost is like this shredded microflake formula, while Cirque's is a dainty hollow glitter. So they're not exact dupes, but I really don't think you would need both. For some other quick blue comparisons, here it is next to Tipsy Turvy from the Twisted Tea Party collection. That one is obviously not a dupe because it's a lot more of a sky blue kind of color, and it also has more holographic glitter since it's a shimmer graphic. If anything, I think it's a little bit closer to something like Heart of Glass from the Cosmic Discotheque collection a few years ago. That one's another blue base polish with this kind of pinky shimmer, but as you can see, Heart of Glass is a lot darker and also a jelly. Then for Bitchin, here it is next to Holo Taco's Electric Sweetener from the Rock Candy collection. These two again have very similar purple bases, but the blue shimmer is different where it's a little bit more of that aqua color on Cirque's side and more of a cobalt blue in Holo Taco. Not to mention the obvious difference in regards to their Holo Sparkle. Again, Holo Taco's is just a lot more dense, and I feel like that covers up a lot of the shimmer. It just doesn't stand out as much as it does in Cirque's. I have a few more bottle comparisons for Bitchin, starting with Jammin Out from the Twisted Tea Party collection. That one is another purple base polish with a blue shimmer, but obviously these are totally different shades. Jammin Out is a little bit more of a blue-toned, deeper purple with a darker blue shimmer. And lastly, I wanted to show it next to Ohana from last year's Surfer's Crush collection. That one does have an icy blue shimmer, but as you can see, the base colors are very different, where Ohana is much more of a lighter, almost lavender color. Then for Flamingo, I wanted to quickly show this next to Pinkies Up from the Twisted Tea Party collection because it's another hot pink sort of shade with a pink shimmer and a ton of Holo Sparkle because this Twisted Tea Party collection was basically all jelly shimmer graphics. So I think a closer polish was Cirque's C'est Chic from the Cosmic Discotheque collection. Even though that one is a sheer, very jelly based polish, it still has that same kind of bright hot pink color, just with a slightly darker blue shimmer. So I thought maybe I could layer that over Cirque's Shopaholic, which was from their Vice collection last year. That one is obviously a lighter, more white-based pink, but I think it would be a good base for C'est Chic. And I was honestly pretty surprised at how well this worked. Obviously, you're not going to get the same depth of having a shimmer crelly type of formula that Flamingo has, but if you do already have C'est Chic and Shopaholic, I feel like this is very much giving we have Flamingo at home, but in a good way, because here you can see I'm still wearing Flamingo on my 4 fingers, but with the Shopaholic C'est Chic combination on my thumb, and they look pretty identical. And lastly for Day Tripper, I knew I wanted to show this next to Bird of Paradise from last year's Surfer's Crush collection. They basically have the same kind of golden shimmer with dainty hollow, but the base colors are very obviously different. So I thought maybe I could use Bird of Paradise as a topper again. But first, I do want to show Day Tripper next to ILNP Summer from the Pool Party collection a couple of years ago. I feel like these have the almost exact same base color. ILNP's is obviously more of a full coverage cream, so it's more opaque and not as squishy or sheer as Day Tripper is, but I was surprised at how close they were. So here I tried to layer 1 coat of Bird of Paradise over Summer to give it that golden shimmer, but I feel like because of that peachy orange base color, it just lightened it up a little too much. It's still absolutely gorgeous though. I love this color combination, but to go for a little bit of a darker base, I wanted to show Day Tripper next to Road Rage from the most recent Vice collection. That one is a true neon hot red with pink undertones, but I feel like it was almost too dark layered under Bird of Paradise, so I wasn't able to get quite as close as I did with the pink combination for Flamingo, but I do think these combos are still super gorgeous and worth trying if you already have these shades. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for Cirque's California Dreamin collection. As always, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this release, or I guess re-release, because like I said so many times, I am just so excited over these shades, especially that they brought back High Society along with them, because I feel like it just fits so well. If you know me, you know I am a huge fan of this shimmer formula from Cirque. It is just one of my favorites that they do, and I am just obsessed with this bright colorway for summer. It is just so perfect. Like I mentioned in the intro though, these are unfortunately limited edition, so I would recommend getting them sooner than later. I'm not exactly sure if Cirque is going to be restocking these throughout the season, similar to how they do with their Vice collections. If I do find that out though, I can either update the description box or put a pinned comment to let you all know, because obviously I don't mean to encourage any FOMO, but I'm just saying these are super stunning, so I would hate for anyone to miss out on them, especially if you missed them the first time around. So I'd love to know if you're going to be picking any of these up. As a reminder, I am an affiliate with Cirque, so if you want to support me and my channel while picking up these shades, you can shop them through my link in my description box down below and use my code PolishedYogi to save 10% off your order. As always, a big thank you to all of you who support me and my channel. It really means a lot. But even if you aren't going to be picking these up, I would love to know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.